has generated an awful lot of really, really great discussions and realizations of just what an enormous job Community Resource Network has to do. I want to start the evening by thanking all of the volunteers that are here this evening, and for those of you that don't know, I'm a volunteer in CRN too. Your continued support and passion for this program is absolutely phenomenal. As most of you here who are volunteers from Northland know, this started within the Northland Church, but it's become much, much larger than that. And it's really cool to be able to welcome this evening representatives from 11 other houses of faith, as well as other faith organisations. And what we would actually like to do is ask everybody that is here, that is representing a different house of faith and a different faith organisation, to please stand so that we can actually acknowledge you and thank you for your partnership in this amazing initiative. Please. So for our program this evening, we've got a wonderful lineup of guest speakers representing all of the different organisations that are partnering with CRN to tackle this tremendous issue of family homelessness in Central Florida. One really important person, as most of you probably realised, is missing this evening. That's Dr. Hunter. He was really disappointed that he couldn't be here this evening. He's travelling, he's in Boston, but he didn't want to miss the opportunity to be part of this great evening. So he's joining us by video.
Welcome to our monthly Community Resource Network dinner. Thank you for letting me welcome you from Boston. I wish I were there with you, but I'm so excited for the amazing work that's being done by this growing network. In just the past 4 months, so many of you, our faithful volunteers, have been trained to do the important work of the Community Resource Network. In the coming weeks, over 50 families who have experienced homelessness will start being connected to the support that they deserve through the Community Resource Network. Every month, more houses of faith and organizations join the network, creating a coalition of partners who will help this region transform its response to family homelessness. Since January, 14 houses of faith have joined Community Resource Network. Organizations like Central Florida Commission on Homelessness and Catholic Charities have made CRN a key initiative. Tonight, you will hear from leaders from those partners. Without their incredible commitment, we would not be able to be what we are today. So enjoy this evening of fellowship, and thank you for your continued support of the Community Resource Network.
Good evening. We find ourselves again another month spending time together, breaking a little bit of bread, and I'll start off by saying thank you for joining us. I swore that this time with Pastor Joel not actually being here, I would somehow work it out that I would not follow him, but as you see, that didn't work out. So again, big shoes to fill. One thing I will say, and I think some of us will agree, this last few months, especially since the first dinner, has been a whirlwind. There's one phrase that we use every time, and I'm going to use it again. We've been building this plane as it goes up in the air at 30,000 feet. It makes me really look forward to the day when I can just get on an airplane that's already built and go up in the air. But that's not right now. But here we are again, together with this amazing opportunity to bring together a coalition of the faithful. I mean, that's a really amazing thing. This room is testament to that. This is a time when God reminds us that this isn't about one person. This is not about one house of faith. It's a time when different people with different faiths unite with a shared purpose of helping those in need. It's a time when I'm reminded the strength of CRN is that shared passion and that shared purpose. It's what I'm seeing right now as I look across this room. Some of our partner houses of faith are here tonight. I thank you for joining us. In these last 4 months, as Pastor Joel mentioned, we've had 14 different houses of faith come on board with the Community Resource Network. We'll have another 10, hopefully, in the coming weeks, and before we see you again for dinner, added to that growing list. That's remarkable. Since January, we've had over 100 volunteers. Many of the people sitting in this room right here, trained to help families who have experienced homelessness. I said it last time, but it's families that are out there right now. It's families that are maybe a mile away from here who desperately need the support that we are training, we are building, we have in this room right now, and very soon they'll be connected to. From different houses of faith, these volunteers have been trained for roles like the champion, the person who's going to walk alongside those families. They've learned about when helping hurts, which personally, that was a game changer for me. I thought I knew a lot when it came to helping people in need, but those 2 days that I spent right here in this room really opened my eyes to what it means to help someone in need. A lot of the volunteers here have been trained for how to help someone through trauma-informed care. Was anybody at the trauma-informed care training? A few people. Again, that was another night where it was just so eye-opening what we will experience, and more importantly, what people have experienced, what families have experienced and continue to experience, that trauma that is connected to living without a home. And we've started to build relationships amongst volunteers, amongst different houses of faith. Again, it's happening right now. It's happening around the tables. We're starting to build the most integral piece of Community Resource Network, which is relationships. Relationships are truly, at least I believe, what will change lives. It'll change lives of people sitting in this room. It'll change lives of families who experienced homelessness. Building those relationships amongst your tables, amongst your volunteers, amongst your friends, your houses of faith. That is what's going to transform this region, I promise you that. One of those volunteers who raised his hand when Pastor Joel did the all-call a few months ago, and who since that time has been walking alongside us this entire time is Mr. Charles Pitts. I'd like to actually ask Mr. Pitts, I'll put him on the spot to come up if you wouldn't mind, and just share with us why he raised his hand, and the experience that he's had going out and meeting with different houses of faith. I will tell you, as he makes his way up here, this is a guy who, without people like him, I don't know how we would have gotten here. So thank you, and please.
Thank you. Well, I never planned to be involved in an organization like this. Probably like a lot of you, when I think of homeless people, I thought of the guy in the street corner with the squeegee spitting on my windshield, wiping it off and wanting it on. And so I never really thought too much about it until a couple of years ago. And after being married for 27 years, my wife went to work one day and just never came home. And I was worried, sick, you can imagine. I called the police, everybody. The next day I got a phone call from our office manager who said, Dr. Pitts has sold the dental practice and gone home to Thailand. Now, not only did she own the Thailand, but she took the $1.5 million that I had given her to start the dental practice. So now I find myself sitting in a home in Lake Forest, if you know where that's at, with a house payment of $3,500 a month. My Jeep was paid for, thank goodness. Utility bills and everything else just crashing in on top of me, and absolutely no place to go. So I'm using credit cards to live on, credit cards to try and get by with. We're trying to find her and get her served. And meantime, the clock is counting down. And finally, through a court order, we were able to sell the house and lost quite a bit of money. And unfortunately, you know, when that happens, the court takes the money and they hold it until the final judgment. So now here I was at age 70 with no income, no wife, and no home. I did have one thing, a wonderful brother who was able to help me at the time. I was able to get into an apartment, and I mean, I'm making it on Social Security, something I never planned on doing before in my life. I don't recommend you try it, by the way, folks. No matter what they tell you when you sign up at age 16, there's nothing there when you get to be our age. So for the first time, I was looking homelessness right in the face. And I've gone from a guy that's lived in London, as we were talking about. I've traveled the world. I've been president of 3 big companies, Martin Marietta Division, Honda Motor Company Division, places you know. So I've gone from there to here, wondering where my next meal literally is going to come from. So I really had that gut-wrenching experience. As I said, if it hadn't been for my brother here in Orlando to help me, I would have been spitting on your windshield with a squeegee, asking for that dollar. So as I began building myself back, and we're going through court, she's been found guilty, by the way, every 90 days to give me back my $1.75 million. I don't know when I'll see it, but in the meanwhile, I heard Pastor talk about this program and the Community Resource Network and working with homeless people, and I thought, you know, except by the grace of God, I would have gone from here to here. I felt like Job. You know, what else could possibly happen? I lose my car, my wife, my house, my bank account's gone. I don't have a credit card I can use. I've got the clothes on my back. What's next? But I came over and I got involved with these people, and I tell you, they took me in under their wing, changed my whole attitude, gave me something to look forward to every week on working with other people. But it also changed my dimension on how I looked at people who were homeless, because you don't always know how they got there. You know, we oftentimes suppose that it was through they didn't go to school, they didn't work hard enough, they drank too much, or I don't know, probably a lot of drugs. But I'm here to tell you, I'm the guy that went to school. I'm the guy with a master's degree. I'm the guy with a 6-figure income. And because of things beyond my control, I was almost homeless. So it gives you a different perspective. It certainly changed my perspective, and I just felt a real calling to get involved with this church in particular on this ministry. I'm originally an Assemblies of God member, you know, one of those tongue-talking. But they took me anyway. They didn't care. And so I got involved, and I just put my little toe in to start with. And next thing I know, you know, Evan and Matt have got me by the shirt. I'm going under for the 3rd time. So I'm just thankful that I had the opportunity to get involved and maybe just shed a little perspective on how people do become homeless, even when you've been at the top. You can get there in a very short period of time.
God has literally answered a lot of my prayers over the last few months for some very particular things. But one of the greatest answers was the support that I've gotten from people like Mr. Charles, like all the volunteers who are working behind the scenes right now. People that, for a lot of times, I try and wonder, why do they do what they do? It's stories like that that kind of lend credence to why they're doing what they're doing, and I think why a lot of people are sitting in this room right now. So thank you again. I very much appreciate it. very, very inspiring. It's a person whose commitment to people in this region living without a home is truly unmatchable. If you could, please help me welcome Ms. Shelley Lauten, the CEO of the Central Florida Commission on Homelessness.
It is such my pleasure and my honor to be with you tonight. And boy, I'm even going to get emotional here tonight because I started my morning with some of you going through an experience helping all of us to remember or think about or reflect on what it's like to be poor and what we as a community do to people who are poor. And it was so impactful that I'm still processing. And then when I saw this video and thought about how we see, or sometimes mostly don't see, the people around us who are struggling every day, I just can't thank you enough for being here tonight and being not part of the problem, but really part of the solution. So can I ask you to please give yourselves a huge round of applause. So I've been the CEO of the Central Florida Commission on Homelessness for exactly 137 days, I think. And I am learning, I am on such a huge learning curve. And when I first got involved as a volunteer and as a consultant to the commission, I started doing a lot of the research. So intellectually, I started learning about what chronic homelessness was. It were people with mental or physical disabilities. I learned about family poverty and that 1 in 17 of our children in Central Florida, 1 in 17 are at risk of being homeless this year. So I learned the facts, but then I took over as the CEO in November of this year, and what I started hearing were the stories. And the one that had the greatest impact on me, a woman with 4 children, three or four children, somehow, because I'm not a direct provider, somehow found her way to phone the Central Florida Commission on Homelessness because she was getting kicked out of her apartment that week. And I called every person I knew, all 5 of them at that point, in the system who were running a nonprofit or running a government agency, and no one could help this woman. She didn't fit any category. She didn't qualify for government resources, but she was getting ready to be out of on the streets in my hometown in a week. So I did what I now learned to do the first I ever run into anything, and I called Joel Hunter. And I said, right? And as my chair, I said, Dr. Hunter, what do I do? I'm new to this. This woman has called me 3 times, and every number I give her, she gets a absolutely dead end. And he said, the second person that you always should call is Dr. Gretchen Kerr. Where are you? And Gretchen took it from there. And what I learned for the first time, in real time, was the power of the faith community. That through the CRN, what you are volunteering to do was the missing piece, is the missing piece in our community today. And I think Central Florida has done an incredible job, right? Of rethinking homelessness. But the missing piece is what you're providing, and that's the relationship. So we've started to get people in our community to look at people who are homeless as our neighbors? Check. We're doing that great. We're starting anyway. Secondly, we've rethought it so that to make people no longer homeless, you put them in a home. And then you surround them with services to help them get where they need to go. But what's missing in that formula are the relationships. And that's what CRN is established to do. You are the weapon. You are the way that we will solve homelessness in Central Florida. We cannot do it without you. We cannot. It's great that we have government resources. That's one piece. We have nonprofit organizations who kill themselves every day. But without the faith community walking alongside our chronically homeless, but especially our families, we will not end homelessness or move people out of poverty without you. Please stay on this journey with us. Please bring more people to these dinners every week. Northland and all 14 organizations that are with you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. How great to know that there is impact being made. And as everybody keeps saying, this isn't about one organisation alone. It cannot be done by one organisation, which is why CRN is looking to expand its network and bring in more and more organisations, including organisations that we need to partner with. The next people I'm going to invite to the stage are one of those organisations. In fact, it's an organisation that is going to connect CRN to the families that are experiencing homelessness that actually need to be helped. Heather Knoop, and I'm going to have to read her title because otherwise I'm going to completely mess it up. Program Manager of Family Stability Services at Catholic Charities, is going to join us on stage together with Davies, who you do know. She's the Director of Community Development at Northland. They're going to talk about this important partnership that's been created. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So again, my name is Davies, and I am the Community Development Director here at Northland and part of the CRN team. And part of my job is to develop local partnerships with the work that we do here in the Care Center. So of course, being part of the CRN team, that means developing those local partnerships with our volunteers, with what they have to offer to what's going on in the community. So the past 3 months, Heather and I have been having great conversations and trying to develop that partnership as to how we can get our advocates and champions to work with families coming out of homelessness. We feel that our advocates and champions have something to offer to our families. So we have Heather here just to ask some questions and just tell them a little bit about what you do. So Heather, if you could tell us a little bit more about Catholic Charities and the Family Stability Program and how you serve families.
Sure. So our Family Stability Program offers services tailored towards homeless individuals in needs. So we have our homeless prevention piece, which that provides services for those folks that Shelley was talking about that are facing that unforeseen crisis, that are about to be evicted, or their mortgage is their house is about to be foreclosed on, or their lights are due to shut off. So we want to kind of step in before that happens, so they do not become homeless. But more recently, we've started our rapid rehousing program, and I have my case managers here with me. Awesome people. They currently are working with about 70 families. They've housed about 60. So here in Central Florida within the past year. So kudos to you guys for everything that you guys do. But we strictly work with homeless families for right now with our rapid rehousing program, taking the literally homeless families off the streets and out of shelters and providing that housing first model where we house them. Like Shelley said, they are no longer homeless, and then we provide the home-based case management to them to make sure that they remain housed.
And what are some of the challenges that you see families experiencing as they're getting out of homelessness?
I think, well, we all know that there's no affordable housing in this place. But I think two pieces would be education and employment, and a lot of those times they go hand in hand. Along with the affordable housing, there's no jobs out there for these folks to work that are sustainable for them. They're taking these minimum wage jobs, and they're busting their butts to stay in these places. And a lot of them have faced generational poverty, so they're lacking that education piece in order to get those better sustainable jobs to stay in the houses. So I think those are the two that we struggle with the most, is probably employment and keeping them employed long-term to be able to stay in their home.
And what additional support do you see these families needing? As you said, employment is a huge piece.
I think I'll piggyback off of Shelley's statement. I think relationships are huge. We were talking at our table that if I ever became homeless, I would go to my parents' house, and they would welcome me. And I think a lot of these folks don't have that piece, and they're missing that piece. So when they do become homeless, who do they turn to? So I think it's the relationship and the support from those kind of people, and I think the faith-based community is such a huge untapped resource. And we were also talking about the pews are filled every Sunday with landlords, employers, lawyers, all these things that these people are missing. So I think it's just a relationship and support system that the faith community can provide for us.
And how do you see the advocates and champions supporting that role?
There's so many issues and topics related to how people become homeless. It's so diverse and so interconnected, so that's how we should respond. We need to have diverse and interconnected response systems in place. It's great that we have our government backup and we have the nonprofit, but we're missing that faith piece. So it'll be great for our case managers who have these huge caseloads and they work their butts off. But if they're working with a family who needs a little more hands-on support, but this family over here just needs to get to a follow-up referral, and they can't take them that day. I think that's the biggest piece for us, to ensure that these people are getting access to the services that they need to succeed.
And I know in our conversations, it's just been enlightening for me as well, just learning about just some of the barriers our families are facing and seeing how our advocates and champions can support those families in that. So just thank you for all the insight, because we want to make sure that we're helpful to our families. But one last question. What is one thing that you would like to share with the group about homeless families, something that maybe most of us don't think about?
Well, I think that opening video showed a lot. I think it's important to remember that they are people, and they're entitled to the same dignity and respect that we all receive from each other. And not all cases the same. So it's important to meet the client and the family where they're at, and to provide services from there. And some may not be ready for the services that you think that they're ready for. Just meet the client where they're at, and they won't let you down as long as you're walking with them where they're at.
Great. Well, thank you, Heather, for being
Thank
here
you.
today. And thank you to the case managers as well. Yes. So Heather and her team will be here afterwards. So if anyone has any additional questions about what Catholic Charities does and the families that you work with, you can definitely just pull those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather, for all of the work that you and your team do. Absolutely amazing. So as you've heard from everybody that's been speaking this evening, as well as the words that Dr. Hunter gives to us all of the time, the faith community response has got to be collective. It's about all faiths being able to come together in this network to be able to help homeless families, no matter where they are and who they are within Central Florida. So through our strength in numbers and the diversity of membership across all faiths, I think we as a Community Resource Network are going to be able to have an enormous impact on what's going on with homelessness here in Central Florida. So I'd like to actually introduce to the stage now one of our partners within the faith community that has joined, Pastor Mary Pitts of Life Focus Ministries. She's going to come and share why she's chosen to be involved with her organisation with CRM. Thanks.
Good evening. It's such a blessing to be here tonight, and I am just so excited about this journey that we're on. Life Focus Ministries, on behalf of my husband, who is the senior pastor, he sends his love and greetings. But I came in contact with Community Resource Network through Vision Orlando. I met George, and he invited me to a breakfast at Citrus Club, and so that's where it all began. And as a follow-up with me, I was in contact with Evan, who is awesome, as well as all the other team that we work with. But at our church, we were wanting to get outside the four walls. We want to be visible. And, it was time out for us being in that huddle, And so through that, we set an appointment with Evan, and he came to our church. And Michael, Christian, who's here tonight, part of our ministry, we met with Evan. And I'm telling you, God has a sense of humor, believe me. So when we met, then I was all excited, and so Evan was saying, think about who you want to steer ahead, and everything, because, I'm the person that kind of like implement and get it started. So then, and just bring others in to help them find their giftings and different things, to impact and make a difference. But the next Sunday, following our meeting, a homeless gentleman walks in service. And I'm like, when I walk in, Joni, who's back there, she was talking with them. Now I'm thinking, I've been thinking, okay, who else I can get to work, and be involved. And here's Joni talking to the homeless gentleman, and I'm like, well, I didn't know she'd do all of that. She was already involved in Brevard County. And so I was like, thank you, God, so prayer answered there. And so from that journey, and Joni built a relationship with him. He kept in contact with us. He was already working with a case manager. And so from my understanding right now, he actually have a place to stay as well as have a job. And so I was all excited saying, oh my God, I need to, I'm trying to get his information and everything, but then it's like, oh, we're not set up yet. So I'm like, I'm texting Evan, I'm sorry it's Sunday, but guess what happened? So I was so excited about this. And so and the next thing we found out that he kept in contact with Joni, and then Joni said he asked for our address, church mailing address. I said, really? And then in the mail, he sent an offering, a tithing offering in the mail to us. And I'm like, I need to donate it somewhere, but I mean, it was just such a blessing to see that, and just to confirm that, hey, God is saying, hey, you're in my heart. That's just where I want you to be. You done tapped into the vein, And so then that wasn't just enough, right? The next Sunday, we have another homeless person comes in. I'm like, well, Evan, you might as well just come on, stay over here, because every time I meet with you, they start coming in, which was such a tremendous blessing. We were so excited. And so just to see the congregation show so much love to them and everything like that. But I'm just saying, I just encourage you just to stay on this journey. And the process that we went through training with the team here has been just awesome. I mean, they came out to our church, as well as we came here, and we're looking to also be a part of, attend some of the other programs and sessions that they have, so we can be knowledgeable and know how to interact, amen, with them, because like they were previously saying, they are human, they are people. And how many know God is all about love? Amen. It's all about love. It's all about love. So we're so excited to be on this journey and partnering because at the same time, my husband has been ministering about the body of Christ, many members, one body. And so I'm just so excited about Life Focus Ministry partnering with Community Resource Network that we can impact communities and make a difference in the lives of homeless people and to show them the love of Christ. Amen. Thank you so much. Now, welcome Evan back to the stage. Another hand for Evan, please. Yes.
One thing before I get too far into this, we found some keys. Check your pockets, check your purse. If you do not have your keys, I may or may not have them right here. So, it was only a few months ago, and I'll ask, who in the room tonight was at the first dinner that we did? Show of hands. There's a lot of people. I'll ask you to remember that night. And remember, at least the way that I do, that night was an amazing one. But it was here at Northland, and for the most part, it was just Northland. But what we've seen in almost a providential way over these last few months is this community resource network grow into exactly that. What we're seeing is a network within the faith community that is raising their hand to say, yes, I want to come together, I want to collaborate, and I want to work together to help families that are experiencing homelessness. You know, the different houses of faith that are here. It's amazing. The different organizations that are here, the nonprofits that are here, it's amazing. It's probably the better word, at least for me, is it's humbling. It really, really is. To see the community coming together, whether it's the faith community, the community at large, to do this work that's so, you know, it just needs to be done. So I want to thank each of you for joining us tonight. You know, and I have to be candid, there are times when I'm a bit overwhelmed by the commitment we continue to receive, you know, from volunteers to different houses of faith, to the nonprofits like Catholic Charities and Pathways and sitting in the back. Thank you for coming. To my team members here at Community Resource Network, here on the Northland team, it's just absolutely amazing what we're seeing take place. And again, it's no one person, it's no one church. It's truly a network of the faithful. A network of people that have that shared passion, that shared vision. You know, tonight we've heard from a group of people whose support will help Community Resource become everything we hope it can be. People like Shelley, Lauten, people like Knoop. Those are the people that, again, it's amazing that they're here with us tonight. At least for me, it's validation that the work we're doing in this room and other rooms and across the region within the faith community is going to have a transformational impact on the lives of families that need it so most. You know, I've only been doing this type of work for a few years. You know, I have a lot to learn. And my boss, Dr. Curry's walking away, will validate that I do have a lot to learn. She'll say yes. But one of the things I've learned is that, you know, without great collaboration, without a shared vision, your effort will oftentimes, if not every time, fall short. Community Resource Network is an effort, you know, it's a movement that will not fall short. You know, it's driven by you. You know, everyone who's sitting in this room right now. You know, it's driven by our duty to lend a hand of support to those in our community who are slipping through the cracks or have already fallen. You know, together, I truly believe that we can transform the lives of family who deserve, you know, the things that, you know, I can oftentimes easily take for granted. You know, these families deserve a roof over their head. They deserve the support of individuals, of a network that care greatly about their success. Believe me when I tell you the Community Resource Network is that support. And I think, each of you for being here and being a part of that. Again, the airplane is in the air. We're building it. It may not always be easy. Oftentimes it's not. This type of work is not. But I believe, and I can tell you that the commitment that you've made thus far from this moment and beyond will truly have an amazing impact in Central Florida and on families who have experienced homelessness. We will change lives, and it's not because we're special, but it's because we're coming together and we're saying we're going to do this as a team, we're going to do this as a network. So I thank you again for coming tonight. If you're hopefully not too upset, we are running a little bit quick, but you had a good meal, and you got to hear from some amazing speakers. I will say one thing that I want to say, and I don't know exactly where she went, but she's standing in the back right now. Miss Megan, hi, everybody wave, Miss Megan. Yeah. There's a lot of amazing people in this room today, myself not even being one of them, but she absolutely is. She is a master's degree student at UCF. She's an intern here in the care center. And when I was truly a moment away from drowning, Angie said, Megan is the person you can rely on. And ever since then, especially for tonight, she's been that person I can rely on. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much. One more thing that I need y'all to do. Tom, if we can go to the next slide. It is 2017, so life is not lived without Facebook or Instagram. Everybody's got one of those two things, probably both. I don't have Instagram, I can make that claim. But if you could, tonight, right now, it's all on your smartphones, go and like our page, either one. Every picture that's taken tonight, and there's been some awesome ones taken by Miss Ashley. They will be on the Facebook page. You can share them. You can find other friends. But do that after you leave. Again, thank you for coming. This has been another amazing night bringing this, I'll call it what it is, this family together. We are going to help you find out if you have any difficulty right after we get done with the dinner. That's my promise to you. Absolutely. You can each come find me. We will figure it out. But again, thank you for coming tonight, and we will see you at the next dinner. Thank you.